All right, it's 12 o'clock. Calling the Government Operations Committee to order. Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Commissioner Knezek,
Here.
Commissioner Clark Coleman, Commissioner Basham,
Present.
Commissioner Colleen has requested an excuse. Chair Dobb,
Here.
you have a quorum present.
Next item, please.
B, Chairwoman's remarks. C, approval of the September 21st, 2022 meeting minutes.
For approval.
So move.
Any discussion on the meeting minutes? All those in favor, please indicate by saying aye. Anyone opposed? Any abstentions? Motion passes. Next item, please.
D, unfinished business. There is none listed.
Next item. Actually, I'd like to pass item number 1 for the day. Can I get a motion to pass item number 1?
So move.
Do we need to read that into the record? You need to read item number, okay. All right, so we have a motion and support. All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Any abstentions? Motion passes. Next item, please.
Item 2, requesting commission approval of amendment 2 to a 2-year professional services contract with 2 one-year options to renew with Presidio Network Solutions.
Okay, so this is for duo security, multi-factor authentication licenses. Are there any questions on this item? Questions or discussion? Okay, we're going to take all the rest of the items and then we'll vote at the end. Madam Clerk, next item.
Item 3, requesting commission approval of a 3-year comparable source contract with 1 2-year option or 2 1-year options to renew with Eagle Security Services.
And this is for to provide an armed security guard at the Register of Deeds office. Any questions on this item? Okay, next item, please.
Item 3, requesting commission approval of a 3-year comparable source contract with 1 2-year option or 2 1-year options to renew with Eagle Security Services.
We just did that one, Madam Clerk. We're on item number 4.
Item 4, requesting commission approval of amendment 1 to a 1-year comparable source professional services contract with 3 1-year options to renew with NDS Detroit.
Questions or discussion on item number 4? Next item, please.
Item 5, requesting commission approval of retroactive amendment 2 to a licensing services contract with 1 2-year options to renew with LexisNexis.
I do have a question on this. If we can get an explanation for why it's retroactive. Oh, can you turn your microphone on? Someone will help you. Thank you. And state your name and title for the record, please.
Libby Busticker, Assistant Corporation Counsel.
Welcome.
And you asked about retroactive.
Yeah, why is it retroactive?
This last term expired on May 31st of this year, and the retroactivity is due to an understaffing of contract managers in our department.
So it just didn't get through to the commission in time because of we didn't have a contract manager.
Yes, we
Okay.
had ongoing issues that continued to present themselves, I think, just due to the inability to review forms and certificates in a timely manner.
And just one other question. I'm sort of familiar with LexisNexis. Is there any other option for us to use this sort of service for like legal research? Is there like really any other option? I've heard of Westlaw, but I don't know if that's comparable.
Yes, this will go into an RFP for solicitation, and we have initiated that process.
Okay, so this isn't the only option that we have for this kind of service.
It is not. There are very few. Westlaw would be the most similar. ICL has submitted a bid for a similar procurement with the prosecutor's office.
Okay,
Madam Chair, what item are we on?
item number 5. Any questions from commissioners? Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, so our next just items of discussion. So I will take a motion for items 2 through 5 at this time. It's been moved, and Commissioner Basham, do you have a question?
I'll support, but I'll be a no on 5.
Okay. Madam Clerk, did you get Commissioner Basham as a no on 5? Thank you. Okay, it's been moved and the report's been moved and supported. All those in favor, please say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Any abstentions? Motion passes. Madam Clerk, next item.
Item 6, a discussion with the clerk's office regarding its staffing issues and its vital records moved to the International Center Building, 400 Monroe, Detroit, and the need for furniture for that space.
Okay, we have Clerk Garrett with us. Welcome. Please state your name and title for the record.
Thank you. Kathy M. Garrett and Wayne County Clerk. Good morning to everyone. And my request to come before this body is solely because we are have the potential to accrue some unexpected, unbudgeted expenditures, which are related to our moving from the Coleman A. Young Municipal Center to the 400 Monroe location, which is our Vital Statistics Division. And the reason why is because for the furniture that is needed, it's over $200,000, which will be needed, as well as for the moving costs, you're looking at $12,000. So silly me, I felt we're one Wayne County. The need for us to move is not on a whim. It's a need for the constituents as well as the employees of the office. So I came before you to let you know that we have the need for the revenue. Had I known this, it would have been included in my budget request. So I'm asking this body to take that into consideration and approve it for me.
Commissioner Clark Holman.
Yes, thank you. So, Madam Clerk, what exactly, explain to us, what are you moving from and to?
Over at the Coleman A. or KMAC, the Coleman A. Young Municipal Center, our Vital Statistics Division, which is birth and death records, assumed names, notaries, marriage license, and concealed weapons permits. Those business units are housed in 2 different, very small offices. And we are moving all of that over to 400 Monroe, which is much more square footage. It will afford the taxpayers to sit down instead of standing in a hallway of a main thoroughfare. So that's what we're moving over there. And then the furniture that is currently utilized, it's been there for 16 to 17 years. And I even looked at the possibility of repurposing it, and that cannot happen.
Okay, so what floor are they on?
Now,
Yeah, now.
we're currently on the 2nd floor at the Coleman A. Young Center. However, which this is another win-win situation, at least to me. When the move happens and we go to 400 Monroe, as you know, currently for the city of Detroit, birth and death, which is under the county clerk, that's on the 6th floor. So when we move, everything else relevant to vital statistics, everything will be on the 6th floor at 400 Monroe. I think that I've been wanting this for as long as I've been here because customers will come to the Coleman A. Young when they really need to be over at 400 Monroe. So now instead of the parking, the walking, or the driving, now it's simply if you're on the wrong side, you need to go down the hall, sir or ma'am.
And when is this move supposed to take place?
I'm anticipating, we haven't been given a solid date, so I'm just saying, okay, 2023, but
Oh, next year.
yes.
Oh.
Now, it would be wonderful, but I try to keep hope alive, but I think 2023 is probably, have you heard a different date? Yeah, first part of 2023.
All right. And when you submitted your budget before Ways and Means, you did not include the funding for the moving and the furniture and all. That was not included in your budget.
That was just that we're into now the October 1st budget. It was not in there because we didn't include it. Didn't know that it would be on the clerk's office or the budget. And I guess because I compared it to what's happening with the move from Frank Murphy Hall of Justice to the CJC, all of those costs are not coming out of the budget. So I felt the same would happen for us again, because it's a necessity. It's not on a whim. It's a necessity that we're out of that building, out of KMAC.
Would you like to weigh in on this at all?
Mark?
Is that okay, Madam
Yes,
Chair?
please.
Through the chair, you know, we had a discussion at Ways and Means yesterday regarding budgetary items that are one-time versus ongoing expenditures. When we undergo a budget adjustment that is for an ongoing expenditures, what we want to do is always make sure that there's revenue associated with it. This is a much easier lift when it's just a one-time deal. And, you know, at the end of last year, to 2021, the county ended with a $260 million fund balance. I believe that this, for a service like this, should not be problematic.
Mark, can I, real quick, and then I'll get to you, Commissioner Basham. Can I ask you, so the funding for the move with the CJC, how is that being budgeted versus a move like this with the clerk's office?
Well,
How would that be different?
historically with the CJC, when it was first approved, there wasn't I mean, it was going to encompass multi-years. So there was an understanding that was brought to the attention of the commission about what the overall cost would be, but also the understanding that the budgeting for it would take place on an annual basis. So that's effectively what was happening. We got the source of liquidity for it was through a bond issue, and then parts of it were going to be budgeted on an annual basis, consuming the bonds and some part of our annual revenue. So that's how that's being taken care of. The remaining aspects of the Criminal Justice Center were incorporated in the budget. And I believe that this is going to be the final year. So again, it was done annually. One-time deal, and then when we're done, we're done.
Did you have anything to add to that, Madam Clerk? Okay. Commissioner Basham.
What's the dollar amount that we're talking about here?
I rounded off. So for the furniture, over $200,000, and then for the move, $12,000.
The item says not to exceed. So if it's less, fine.
Excuse me, I said 200,000, what, $270,000 for the furniture. And as you mentioned, the move would be about $12,000.
Is that what I said?
Did that answer your question, Commissioner Basham?
Well, sort of, but you know, I'm like to know what the dollars and cents are just to have an idea that, you know, what we're voting on. And then I absolutely agree with everything that the clerk said. But But our job is to at least have an idea what the dollar amount is. It's not,
And today is just a discussion. We're not voting today, but yeah, so
Because everything is, I mean, we shouldn't exceed that, but it's still pretty fluid as far as talking with movers if the Wayne County team is not going to move us. So it's kind of still fluid, but it's needed.
Commissioner Knizik.
Thanks, Madam Chair. No questions, Madam Clerk. I just think I'd be remiss if, when we have the clerk visiting us, if I didn't take the time just to reaffirm that, the work of our local clerks and our county clerks, more important today than it has ever been. Without getting too political, we see the assaults and the attacks on voting rights in this country. This is the first line of defense for our county against those attacks. And, you put that aside, I can just say on a personal level, whenever I've reached out to the clerk with a comment, a question or concern, incredibly accessible, incredibly responsive. When I've got friends who are looking to get marriage certificates, you need help down at the office, her team, incredibly responsive and incredibly helpful. So, Madam Clerk, I just wanted to take the opportunity to thank you for everything that you're doing. I really appreciate hearing from Mr. Abbo that this is going to be an easier lift than what we might have with some other issues. So I look forward to being a part of the group on this commission to offer you that support and that help that you not only need, but that you have earned and deserved through your incredible service here at the county. So just again, thank you, Madam Clerk, for your time today.
For your kind remarks. This is being recorded, right?
Yes.
Thank you.
Commissioner Basham and then Commissioner Clark Coleman.
yeah, I have had a very good relationship with getting things done with the clerk's office also, but I usually call and say it's Commissioner Knizik.
Commissioner Clark Coleman.
I think that, I know that I support it. I can see the need. And after what our budget director explained to me, it appears to me that there should be no problem. So what's the next step?
Yes, and I was going to ask Mark Abbo, what is the next step for us, if you can explain that? Oh, microphone, please.
I have one more comment about logistics on this. As Clerk Garrett had indicated, this furniture is very old. It's 17 years old. So you think of opportunity cost and logistics associated with that. Does it make sense to move old furniture from KMAC to 400 Monroe and then be forced to replacing it at some future date because it's all wearing out? To me, it makes sense. And I know from personal experience that the way offices are now constructed with current technology and the way things are done now with computers versus, filing cabinets and all that, it just makes sense that it gets constructed in a way that's conducive to current technology and current norms. So again, the opportunity associated with dealing with it now versus having to deal with it several years from now, to me, just makes sense. And it results in a savings to the county and not a cost to the county.
So before we get to next steps, I have a question on that. Will there be an expense with disposing of the old furniture? And then is there any furniture already in the space that you're moving into that we need to dispose of? And is there any expense associated with that? Yes.
The short answer is I am not aware of the expense because we haven't researched that. I do know that the county has a facility or area where they take discarded old furniture. So I don't know if that's an option, but we can look into that. And then as far as your question about what is pre-existing over there, there might be in some of the offices, some desks that we have asked to keep. So that wouldn't be an additional cost because they were in good condition.
Okay. All right. So nothing that we really need to clear out of
No.
there before we move in. Okay. And then Mark, can you talk about next steps on how we can make this happen?
Well, we would really need two things. We would need to to approve the contractual arrangements, the costing arrangements, and then we would need a budget adjustment associated with it as well. So those two things would have to happen. They don't have to happen concurrently, but at some point we would need both of them.
Any last comments, questions, discussion? Thank you so much for joining us.
But, yeah. So does this, Mark, does this have to go before what Ways and Means?
The budget adjustment would have to go
Has to
before
go
Ways
back
and
before
Means,
Ways
yes,
and
and then the contract approval would probably come before this body.
Okay, before I step away, and it's one issue that I want to bring up, and I did see it on there, as far as staffing. This has been the biggest nightmare, and I totally understand that it's countywide. However, I'm charged to speak for the clerk's office. Even in this division that we're planning to move, and it's a very high volume because of the things I said, marriage license, CPLs, birth records, death records. In each office in 201 and 207, we have 2 staff people that are manning everything because people have resigned. And then even with the agreement that was made with, that the union was okay with in the county as far as temps coming in, just to give you a true understanding, we have temps that come and they might stay 2-3 weeks, maybe a month. I don't think many have made it a month, but we do exit interviews, even with the regular staff, and it's constantly the pay and the benefits and the parking. So I want to say and when any commissioner, any citizen or whomever calls, we make sure that we do what we have to do to make sure you're serviced. Even if it calls for us to move another staff person that has experience in that area, moving them from their current job to help address what we're getting calls from the commission or whoever for. But I can't say enough about the staff that I know has been there. We worked the entire pandemic. The office was never closed. We were there every day. And I am just so thankful and honored that they are sticking in the trenches with me. But it has been a complete nightmare out of my entire honor and time of being the county clerk. So just know, and then we do have a call center, thankful about that. And when those emergency situations come up, of course, it's fine to call me, but I'm getting calls that certain commissioners are giving my personal number to people. So if you don't mind, if you could just call me and give me that individual's number. The call center, they get it. They understand if this is an emergency, we got to do what we got to do to make it happen. But I just can't say enough about the staff in the county clerk's office, and especially over at Frank Murphy. That is a crisis that is about to blow up. So pray for us, but we're going to get it done. Thank you for your time.
Thank you, Madam Clerk.
Well, I'll make sure you get it. I think you do.
Don't read it out. All right. Now, my Madam Clerk here, next item, please.
F, such other matters as may be properly submitted before the committee.
There are none. Next item.
Public comments.
Anyone with us here in the gallery like to make a public comment? Please approach the microphone. Okay, seeing none. Do we have anyone on Zoom or on the phone who would like to make a public comment? Can you unmute yourself? See anyone? Do we have any emails?
No emails.
Okay. Last call for public comments from anyone. Hearing none, next item.
Adjournment.
And a motion to adjourn. Is any support? Oh, did we get support? Okay, hearing no objections, we are now adjourned. Thank you all.